Hello, everyone. You're back to AMZ TV, and today I am so excited because I have my lovely friends with me, and we're discussing something that's really important, to everybody. It's like 6 degrees of separation. We all know someone who's going through something, and so today I have Anita. Well, it's like we lost her there, but she's coming back on. And then you have Farida. Hey, Farida. And then, hi. And today I have Dr. Ede Ojo. Hello, Dr. Ede, all the way from Nigeria. Again.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
Hi, Ede. Hi, Farida. Hi,
Hello.
Nice to have you.
Hi. So, hi. So, it's, again, guys, please just make room. I'm talking to my audience now, my listeners. Just bear with us. Again, sometimes Zoom does this, so we have to make allowances for those lag space or delays. Again, we're all in different countries, okay? We've got UK, we've got US, and then we've got Nigeria. So Dr. Ede is a consultant psychiatrist, okay? So she is an authority on mental health. So this is the part 2 of this episode, because we had a part 1 where it was just myself, Anita, and Farida, where Farida was kind enough and very real enough to share her own experiences, and I also did about a family member. So Dr. Ede, she's Ede to us, but Dr. Mrs.
No, this is Ede to us.
He must say, all right, he must. Anyway, so yeah, you have the floor actually. What is mental health? What exactly? A lot of people are confused. On layman's terms, what is mental health? What is it?
How will I explain it now? Just trying to make it as simple as possible. Mental health is a huge part of well-being. You cannot talk about being healthy without talking about your mental health. And if the WHO definition of health, it says not necessarily in the absence of illness. So it means that you may be fine health-wise, your blood pressure may be good, you don't have diabetes, there is no other thing going on, but mentally, if you are not stable, if you are not okay in your mind, your psyche, then you are not healthy. And we can look at it in this way. When I have a mental disorder, it means that I have problems with my thinking, my feeling, my behavior that puts me at loggerheads with my environment, with myself, and with others. So you look at it, you, others, and your environment. So when there is a discrepancy, or when there is a lack of balance in these 3 areas, then we can say somebody is not mentally healthy.
Thank you very much for that.
Makes
That
sense.
is layman's terms. Because people need to understand that,
Yeah.
Part of well-being is also mental health. So you have the physical health, then you have the mental health, all comprise, an optimal well-being. So one of the things we had talked about was the stigma. Why the stigma? Why is mental health real? Mental challenges, mental disorder. So again, you have the floor.
Mental health disorders or challenges or illness, however you want to call it, is real.
Yeah, we know that.
There is really there's a lot of stigma, but it stems from the causation or the causative factors that were attributed, to in mental. For example, in some cultures, when you have a mental illness, it is believed that you have demonic possession. And of course, so you have to be treated like an outcast. In others, mental illnesses were people believe mental illnesses result from your inability to get a hold of yourself. So the blame was you. You need to be able to do this. You need to be able to do that. So if not what you ought to be doing, it's because you are weak. There is something defective in you. And then the consequences of mental illnesses. For example, in a place like Nigeria, we all know, before you get married, people search. They go and do a family. What are they looking for? They are looking for a history of mental illness. They are looking for things in your family that they can use to disqualify you. So those kind of things make people want to hide mental illness. Make people want to keep their feelings, their experiences to themselves, because they understand that people around them may use it against them. So this is one of the things that led to, some of the factors have resulted to and continue to maintain stigma in mental illness.
So let me just add to the stigma thing, and I hear you, and it's true, because then, but what caused that initial stigma, right? So I have to think that it's, for me, like when I think about it, I think it's really the unknown, because right before now, we didn't know too much about mental health, right? So that unknown to people is really, really scary. Now look at, we are going through COVID right now, right? We don't know, what caused, like we don't know what the effects are, how you get it and how to treat it. So the unknown is really scary. I think the reason we had a stigma about mental health would have been because it's an unknown, right? Just like when the AIDS came out, right? It's really scary. You don't know what causes it. And people now target to demonic spirits and all those kind of things. But the fear of the unknown is really what the main issue was. But I feel that now that as a community and as a people, and in medicine, of course, you guys as medicine, we are now beginning to understand more about mental health. That is really not, in some cases, that to be true, maybe demonic, maybe I'm being too Christian right now. But most of the time, we know it's due to chemical imbalance, right? I feel that the message hasn't gotten out yet to people. Like people are not, because now that we know what the reasons are, is the chemical imbalance in the brain, want to give them the right chemical to fix it, they're better. That story or that narrative hasn't really gone out yet. And the people are still tying it to, oh, we don't know what causes it, so, and the fear is there. So I just think it is that the more we as a people, we as a nation, we as, as a community begin to teach more, like about mental health, what causes it, that is not anything that's disgraceful, that is not anything that, that one should be ashamed of. It's just, just like being sick, you are diabetic, they give you insulin, you have mental health, you have chemical imbalance, they give you lithium. The more we get that message out, the more I feel that people will begin to know that it's nothing to be ashamed of. So I think it's more also getting out the message.
And I think
Annie, for that. Okay. The very interesting thing about mental health, psychiatry, and psychological disorders. Yes, I agree with you. Not knowing is the root cause of a lot of stigma. What has made mental health disorders a bit unique is that there is not one factor. It's very difficult to pin down one factor. I know that, Americans like to throw in a lot of medications, but that's why even me as a psychiatrist, I'm very reluctant to say, oh, this is what is causing this. And that's why we keep talking about the biopsychosocial model of illness. Sometimes you hear us talk about the stress theories. So there are so many factors that come into play. So the woohoo, you can put two people, that's me and you, together in the same situation. One person will break down, the other person will never. Do you understand? So there are still so many factors. But the good news is there's a lot of going on, in mental health. So every day we are learning new things. But I mean, over there, a lot of your people are engaged. I mean, when I say your people, I mean Americans, the British, they're a developing world. They are engaged in a lot of research, trying to find answers to these questions. Yes. So everything started from, nobody knew what was going on. But typically human beings will begin to attribute things to events, to natural occurrences, to spirit influences and all that.
Yes.
So it is very, very difficult, because if you talk of, sometimes you say, okay, maybe in this person, that is why case is unique. Do you understand? There is no one size fits all. There is no one size. Yes, we have syndromes. We have syndromes. We have disorders. We have collections of things that seem similar or that look similar, but it's doesn't necessarily work. For example, do you know that sometimes up to 70% of those with depression who are treated with medications, 70% will improve. What happens to the remaining 30%? So there are still some questions we don't have answers to.
Okay.
But but stigma is real.
Yeah.
And stems from the unknown.
Farida, you had a question.
Yes, so is depression and anxiety attack the same thing?
No. Depression and anxiety are they are different disorders, but they closely coexist. In my practice, when I see depression, I need to look for anxiety. Or when I see anxiety, I just want to exclude depression. So they are very closely associated. Yes, and that is why you also see that some of the medications treat both. Some of our medications, we treat anxiety. We also treat depression. So
okay, let's say depression. Sorry to cut you. Depression, to me, so many things might lead for you to be depressed. How about anxiety, that you haven't got anything to make you
anxious about?
Why is it? Yeah, why? How does it? I don't know how to even ask the question. Why are we anxious about what we're not supposed to be anxious about?
Just to give it background, because again, I know, Ede, if you watched part 1 of this, and for those of you listening, Farida had, excuse me, I think she has generalized
anxiety and
yes,
panic.
Panic. She gets panic attacks, and she said hers has to do with fear of dying. Like it's like it's the end of the world. Oh my God, it's always crisis with her. So I just wanted to give you that background. So she's wondering. She's happily married, praise God. She's got kids. Everybody's doing okay. So why she's scared? Do you see? So I just wanted to give you that, Eddie.
Okay. Farida, I'm sure you know that you are not alone.
Oh, Generalized. Yeah. I know that.
Common. But it also has the fear of the unknown.
Unknown, yeah.
Yes.
Unknown.
Fear of the unknown. And guess what? In anxiety, like, or when a lot of us hear people talk about it, say things like 90% of the things we fear never happen.
Yeah.
But it is that thing that we do not know is going to happen or not happen that seems to be a main factor in anxiety. And disorders, if you do not treat them, you know, remember I said they commonly coexist with depression. And if you don't address it, can lead to full-blown depression. Because, for example, if I am afraid that there is something wrong with me that no doctor has been able to diagnose, and I continue to visit hospitals and nobody tells me what's going on with me, after a while I may just become depressed. Whereas the anxiety is this thing that started it off. There are a lot of reasons why people become anxious. But there is something that we know, that sometimes the experiences we've had in life kind of predispose. Sometimes there are things that we have heard of, people have told us, we have seen, that affect us, but because we do not know that these things really affect us. These things are, you know, in psychology, we talk about the conscious and the unconscious. A lot of things that really have to do with us, our experiences as human beings, are the unconscious realm. And then we have the pre-conscious. Then you have the conscious. The conscious is the one you and I are aware of. And that is why psychotherapy helps in anxiety cases and even in treating depression. You know that if you are mildly depressed, for example, you may not need medication. You know, yes. Psychotherapy help you unearth, you know, the kind of things that are going on. So Farida, you have generalized anxiety disorders just come up. Goals, and you are just afraid something terrible is going to happen. You don't know what it is.
Forever afraid.
Just keeps going on and on and on.
So, but I think let me just kind of, I think just kind of add a little bit more to what Farida is saying is like, okay, so why, like she's worried about that, right? I know, and of course with COVID, right? COVID has really unleashed a lot of things. Like, you know, I'm so scared that after COVID, we're going to have like the number of depressed people. It's going to, because first of all, people are now, you know, have the fear of death is like not very, they're all very conscious of that because now you don't know if you go out, what's going to happen, you know, what, we don't know anything. So, but I'm kind of wondering, and I know, Farida, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not here to put out your religion or anything, but you find that, I'm just saying in your practice, you find that people that have more awareness of, you know, where they're going after that, you know, like those kind of things, like as a born again Christian, you know that, you know, you're going to, you know, we know where we're going, or, you know, maybe as a Muslim, we know where we're going. Does that kind of help in things like this kind of question that she has as to why her extra worry about, you know, where
maybe
she's
I'm
going?
not really a religious person, so maybe I have to start practicing one of those. And
it helps because knowing, like, honestly, honestly, as a Christian or as a Muslim, I think there's this assuredness, or being assured, right? You're being assured, you know, within your spirit, because your religion teaches that, right? So that is not really an unknown any longer. It's like, you know, we know where we are going. As a Christian, I know where I'm going, right? As a Muslim, you know where we are going. Maybe, you know, that also helps in this idea of, you know, death. So, and if we tend to accept death as it's going to happen, I know, like, it's hard to talk about and think about.
That's the inevitable.
Yes, the inevitable. But we know that we don't have any control, right? You know, we can do the best you can. Even the most careful people on earth, you know, sometimes you just cannot control that. So if that, maybe just having that you know, you are assured in your spirit about, you know, where you are, what you are, accepting that for what it is, and just knowing that, you know, it's going to happen to everybody, no matter who you are. You know, we're all going there at one point, whether, you know, like.
Let me tell you, I think that I know that I've got so many. My mom is gone, my dad, my best sister, amazing. You know, all of them, they've all gone before me, which I always try and say, oh God, they are there, they're protecting me, but I'm still scared of it. So and it's not just me, it's for anybody, my friends, anybody close to me, because that's what triggers it. So it's
okay. So let's
it still comes.
Uwa, Anita, you are absolutely right. Spirituality is a protective factor in mental health, okay? Research has shown that. So spirituality, yes, being a committed, practicing your Christian faith, being whatever you believe in, it helps. You know, it helps. But there's something Farida has said. See, Farida, I believe I heard her say clearly that some of her people have died.
Died, yeah. So
yes.
Maybe that's what the fair
is. Close family,
yes. Yes, let me tell something about like, you know, I was talking about you know, we have all kinds of anxiety disorders, but you seem to have a generalized anxiety disorder. You know about experiences that we have had, things we have heard. You see, and there is something in therapy. You hear us talk about negative thoughts. Thoughts. These thoughts are things that just drop out of nowhere and come into our minds.
That's
and we begin to believe these thoughts. So one of the first things we teach we help our clients with in therapy is to let them know how they're thinking. Okay, if I think now that I'm going to die tomorrow, how am I going to feel?
Sad, scared.
I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel scared because I'm going to be thinking, oh, my husband, my children.
Exactly, yeah.
That is what is going on in the mind of somebody who is anxious. But in one case, somebody has been given, you know, perhaps there's cancer, and they've been told that you have to prepare. That is on the wall. But here, something has told me in my mind, and it has dropped in my mind as a thought, a negative thought. It says, you know what? This headache you are having looks like a cancer headache. And then I go to hospital, they don't find anything. That same thought keeps telling me, no, they are not looking well. It is there. And it's affecting you. Can't you see the way your hand is shaking? Can't you see the way your lips are? I mean, things that ordinarily we can explain away begin to mean. Farida, how old are you?
Oh, yeah. She's 30 years old.
30, like
she's like all of us, they're all 30.
Okay.
22.
We are 22.
Yeah, because I want us to be aware of
the 20-year-olds, right?
For us, the 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yes, because I am seeing a lot of.
I don't know why you're laughing at me. That's my real age.
You know, so in your case, you have loved ones who died prematurely. Yeah.
But I've had this forever, even from my secondary school.
Yeah. So, do you know
before any of this? Yeah.
Yes. Generalized anxiety disorders they can last your lifetime, your entire life. I mean, life. But it is the way these thoughts, especially if you have panic attacks, go and find out what sets off your panic attack.
Like my last.
I
mean, the last episode, the first one, I was telling Amazing, I said, I've gone to so many therapy, and everybody tried to say, think back to what has happened to me in my past and when I was growing up, but I can't seem to think about anything bad that has happened to me because I know I had a good life, a good upbringing. The only thing I can think of is as little as I used to be scared of dying, you know, like when the cloud is moving, I think maybe that's the end of the world. And we're all going to go to hellfire and all of that. You know, the preaching that they used to preach into our head in those days. I think that's what triggered mine.
Yes, you remember
that? I can't think of anything bad that has happened to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. It's things you've heard.
Something you heard.
Yes.
Something you saw.
And as a child, it's old.
From what you have said, as a child, that said we're going to.
Because they say if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do that, you're going to hell, and all of that. And you know, so I think that is where mine stems from because
it's a thing. It's a thing, yeah.
Let me even share an experience with you. Do you know I am always afraid of too much speed, people speeding.
Yeah.
People speeding.
I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of everything.
That's right. No, I am when it comes to speeding. And I remembered something. Somebody was speeding, I was in the car, and I just had this flashback. I remember that happened when I was in primary school. At the middle seat of the back seat in the car, and another vehicle hit us. And impact. And it just occurred to me that seemed to be where this fear of being in the car and
speeding,
it just came.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Let me, because
Ede is right. I'm just waiting for Ede to hold on.
Yeah, to relate to our experience.
I have self-diagnosed myself because I'm afraid of heights. So and slopes. I'm so afraid of slopes. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm so afraid of slopes, especially when it's like it's when I'm driving down slope or uphill. It's like I've not even driven before, and heights. You know. So, but every time I remember, because my daughter will always tease me like, "Oh my God, Mom, it's just a small slope." So I always tease her like, "Oh, you know, when I was a little child, when I was in primary school, I fell down a slope." I did. We went a group of friends, and you know when you're supposed to be in school, we went somewhere. I can't even remember, but it was one gully. Because I started thinking, and I remember I rolled down that. It was like by the time I fell down, I was looking at the sky. But it was, they had to go call teachers and, because I fell down this gully. I'm thinking that's where, it's so funny you said it now, because I'm always like, I fell down when I was a little child.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have, like, for me, and everybody knows me, like, if I'm driving and there's a tractor trailer that beside me, so you think that, I mean, I because once before, I'm not joking, this is a like true life story. Though I had this tractor trailer once, I didn't know he was, you don't know they are turning. I didn't know he was turning. So I'm coming, and he turned, and because you know how they do a wide turn. Like they go forward, and
so you were going into the middle there.
I went straight underneath him. And so look, if a trailer is beside me, I'm like, oh my God, get out of my, like, I'm like, like speeding, stopping, like they're like, what's wrong with you? It's just a trailer. I'm like, no, trailers, I don't trust them. Like, like that fear, like even I know it's yeah, they are right. The fear is right, it's there. It creates something in your mind. But Eddie, I was just going to ask. So I mean, we know what the problem is. We know what. How do we move forward? How can
we get it off?
How can we train the people? Now, what do we need to get people? Because again, the fear, like, I mean, I think Amy knows that I just had a friend who lost their 16-year-old son. I mean, it's so devastating. And apparently there was an issue of mental health, but they did not say. They kept quiet. They were trying to hide it. And this boy just ended up dying because he left home and ended up dying. So it was just a matter of just helping this little child. How do we begin to educate people? What do we do? How do we get this message out? How do we change people's mind? What do we need to do to stop these deaths that are happening all around us? Like this boy dying, it's 16-year-old, it's been so devastating to our community here. Like, it's like everybody feels as if, something happened to them personally, because that's how sad it is. Where do we go? How do we?
Or did he kill himself or what?
No, he actually, I think he went to a mental, like he had a psychotic breakdown. Yeah, and then he left home, and I think he was trying to cross the street, and two cars hit him.
Oh.
Yeah.
The highway.
In the highway.
Well, the way you are saying these kind of things over there, we are seeing a lot of it in Nigeria as well. I'm telling you, in teenagers who have tried to kill themselves. Yeah. So these things are there. But remember what I said about sometimes it being difficult to pinpoint, one thing to actually say this is what caused it. Sometimes even the origin of generalized anxiety disorders we're talking about, you may never even find one thing that might have led to it, but there are a lot of factors. And now we are talking about it as parents and as family members, we need to begin to take interest in others much more than ourselves. That is, if I know that I am okay, I am mentally stable, I should also be able to look out for others who may be vulnerable, including our children. You know, we have become so busy. You can't blame us. We have bills to pay. But we notice something, we excuse it, and we dash out the door. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it could have been that moment, you know, to just catch that thing and find out what's going on. So we really need to be involved in the lives of our, you know, of our loved ones. There's so much going on out there that we need to build ourselves. And like Anita said, I one thing that has built me up is God. I mean, the Word of God. That's one that has built me up. You know, there was a time I used to be so scared that something was going to happen to my loved ones. So I've experienced anxiety. And when I was in Lagos then, during my housemanship, those people still remember, any free ride to Benin, I was on that free ride. Because I'm going to go and check up on my parents.
Yeah.
I went sure they were well. I had to be sure. And I used to do this. And then one day my father said to me, my dear, I hope it will be a while before we see you. Do you understand what?